Alright, here we're looking at a normal distribution, and we're going to use this information to find the probability of that we pick out a sample or pick out one thing out of it and being less than or equal to 60. So we've got a normal distribution. It has a mean of 67 and a standard deviation of 6. We're going to use the standard normal table. So we're going to have a table. You may refer to it as a z-table or a standard normal table. And we're going to find the probability that x is less than or equal to 60. Now here I've got a copy of a normal curve. Now remember, the normal curve, x bar, which is our mean, is exactly halfway in between the information above and below. So 50% of it is below it, and 50% is above it. Now we'll also use decimals. So if it was a decimal value, it'd be 0.5 and 0.5. So half of it's above, half of it's below. Okay. And if we add 0.5 and 0.5, we get 1. If we add the 50 percentage together, we get 100. Okay. And so, but for this particular problem, we're not given an exact. We're given an exact standard deviation, but 60 is not exactly a standard deviation or two standard deviations below. So what we're going to do is get a z-score. Now to do that, we're going to take x and subtract x bar over our standard deviation. So we end up with x, in this case, is 60 minus our x bar, our mean of 67, and we're going to divide that by 6. Now when we do that, we're going to end up negative 1.2. Now I've rounded here because the table that we're going to use for this particular problem, which I've already put here, is only goes to 2 decimal places. So let's look at our table. So now this is what we have, a z-score of negative 1.2, and we want the probability of being less than that. So that are less. So if we look at our table down here, when we come down here, we've got negative 1, and so we come over to 2, and we end up with this number, 0.1151. Okay, so if we're leaving it as a probability, that would be our probability. The probability of x being less than or equal to 60 is equal to 0.1151. Okay, now percentages, we would just move it over and it'd be 11.51%, but right now we're talking about probability. So we have 0.1151, that's the probability of picking out x and it being 60 or less. Alright, let's look at another example. Same type of problem where we have a normal distribution, has a mean of 72, so x bar is equal to 72, and we have a standard deviation of 8, and here we want to find the probability of x being less than or equal to 54. Okay, now you may want to check and see if it's an exact standard deviation away in either direction, just that way we wouldn't have to use the table, but it's not, so we're going to have to use the table. So for that, we're going to have to come up with a z-score. Now our z-score here is going to end up, again, remember it's going to be x minus x bar over the standard deviation. So in this case, it's going to be x, which is 54, minus 72, all divided by 8. Alright, so we end up with a z-score of negative 2.25. Now, if we're using a table that goes to 2 decimal places, we would use this. But the particular table that we're using for this example goes to 1 decimal place. So we're going to use z-score is equal to negative 2.3. Alright, so here we have our z-table again. And if we use it and go negative 2.3, we end up with 0.0107 is our probability. So for this particular one, so here we'll end up with 2.3. So the probability of x being less than or equal to 54 is going to be 0.0107. Again, we get that from the table out here.